What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kuempel of Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. We have a guest zooming in all the way from Tempe, Arizona. Please let me introduce Michelle Bulriss. She is a author, illustrator, and business owner. Michelle, thank you for joining us today. You have a very unique story. I definitely feel that you are living that label-free lifestyle, especially with some of the things that you've been through. Will you please introduce yourself and tell a little bit about your background to the audience?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you. Coming from you, that's a really big compliment.
Aw.
Uh, so basically, I'm a crazy person in
Y'all.
most senses of the word, because I am a crazy overachiever who is passionate about everything and wants to help everyone and save the world. When I was a little kid, my answer whenever people would ask, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" was always, "I want to save the world."
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to do that through my business. And I started to try and help promote change and, I don't know, just general goodness in the world through teaching. And I've loved teaching. I've been a teacher, and it's an incredible experience. I've worked with the only age group I haven't worked with really is high schoolers. I've worked from K to middle school, and right now I'm working with GCU.
Okay. What's
So
that?
I've done college students.
Oh, I see. Oh, wow. Okay. And how do you like that?
It is an interesting experience. I find that it's heartbreaking that some of these students have gotten so far in the system without the help that they need.
Yeah, that is sad. That is very sad. Well, let's talk a little bit about your business. So you're an author of a children's book called Sock Lobsters, which is
Mm-hmm.
super cute. Like I said, I'm gonna have to get this book and get it for my niece and nephew. And then you just
Dramatically holding it up.
yes, there we go. Adorable. And so what made you come out with this book?
Okay, so the origin story is a little wonky, but it started out with the B-52s
Okay.
and the song Rock Lobster.
Yeah.
Uh, and I, being the crazy person that I am, decided to start a parody of it called Sock Lobster. And it's as cheesy as it sounds. I full on go, "I was at a laundromat. Everyone was washing my socks, but they weren't my socks. They were sock
Oh my
lobsters."
gosh, I love it.
Yeah, it was a whole thing. And I realized that it would make a really good idea for a children's book. And I sat on that for a few years. And it wasn't until I ended up having a really life-changing event
Hmm.
that I realized I needed to get my story out there.
Sure.
Um, and not specifically my story personally, but I wanted to do something on a level that would help more people
Yeah.
go through some of the things that I've experienced.
So do you mind sharing? I love all of that. And that's why we're here today, right? We're here today to share stories and try to get a good message out there in the world and create positivity, create change. And if we can inspire one person, if you can inspire one person by your story, by being on here today, you have made an impact in the world. So do you mind talking to us about your life-changing event?
Yeah, so uh, this is going to get real personal real fast. And in order to understand the life changing event, you have to understand pretty much all of my trauma up until that point.
Sure.
So, short version, uh, I had a friend die in a really traumatic way. Her father had a brain tumor, and he killed his entire family and then himself. And she was missing for a while, so we didn't know what happened to any of them. And it was,
That's
and
gonna make such an impact at that age when we're teenagers. Like that's a very hard time for us, no matter what. And to add that to the mix has got to like really, really shake you to your core. I mean, how did you heal from that? Are you still healing? You're probably still healing.
I'm still healing from that. I think that trauma is unfortunately a lifelong experience. It's not something that goes away, but it's something that you have to learn to acknowledge and move forward with.
Agree.
So I have this, but I can move past it to get to what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Um, in my case, I'm trying to help others with it. So uh, that happened, and then I had a choir tour. I um, so I spent the majority of my grieving process in Italy for that, because I've sung all over the world. I've sung in the Vatican, Russia, China,
No.
random places. Almost fell off the Great Wall once. Got heat stroke. Somebody caught me.
It's not
So
funny, but wow. If you're gonna fall off the wall, you
yeah,
might as well be there.
you're like, oh hey, yeah, I almost died by falling off the Great Wall of China once. That
Yeah,
was a
right.
thing. After that, um, lucky me, I ended up finding myself in a abusive relationship. So this was I'd been dating for a while as a kid, I guess you would say, but I was generally in a relationship.
Sure.
In kindergarten, it meant that I was like hugging a boy and maybe being their best friend.
Sure.
So, uh, but I was always very loving and kind and trusting, and it got to a point where it came back to bite me. So I fell for a musician. We wrote music together. Uh, he pretty much got me when he wrote me a love song,
Oh boy.
and it was beautiful.
Should have ran then. It's not funny, but you know what? You kind of have to make jokes around it when, because
You do.
yeah.
I am, although the experience has really colored me as a person, I think that I'm stronger for it,
Of
and I
course.
think I'm in a better place and have a better understanding of humanity, in a sense.
if
But he
if you were
was,
stronger for it, you wouldn't be telling your story right now. It has definitely catapulted you to a different place where you're able to speak out about these things and raise awareness around what can happen and like you said, make a difference. So I mean, like I said, I've been in situations where I've been abused as well, and it does change you. It does change you, and I think it does like make you a stronger person.
I like to think that he's trying to become a better person now, but that that really changed me. It put me in a really dark place.
Yeah.
Um, I had a suicide attempt and became very, very depressed. I didn't do all the crazy things that I regularly do. Uh, like I already said, I work 4 jobs right now. I am like writing more books and illustrating more books. I have 2 pets and am engaged, so I'm planning a wedding and trying to buy a new house, and
So,
everything's always all at once because that's just the way I work. But he took me to a level where I couldn't get out of bed.
yeah.
Unfortunately, that was not the event that led to the book.
Oh, okay. So, whoa. All right.
So, just because I'm getting really honest here, and I think it's important to be honest and open, because when things like this happen to you, as much as it's difficult to acknowledge, you have to realize that it is not in your control and it is not your fault.
Right.
So, after the abusive relationship, when I was in a bad place, I tried dating again and ended up finding myself being raped by other people in other situations. For example, one physically overpowered me and I couldn't escape. Another one drugged me. And then my breaking point was when I was at a new job, and one of my coworkers at a work gathering manipulated the situation to get me intoxicated and alone. And that was my last straw. That was my breaking point.
Yeah. It's a lot.
And it triggered really intense PTSD. So I've been working really hard on that. And
so wait, so what does that mean when that triggered major PTSD? What happens when that happens to you?
so essentially, you are so traumatized by something that your mind is unable to escape it.
Yeah.
So I couldn't eat. I couldn't talk. I couldn't like get up and shower. I had to have a friend basically keep an eye on me the entire time for the first, I don't know, at least the first week or so, because I wasn't safe to be alone.
Oh, wow.
And then after that, I gradually, through therapy and through all the other combination of things that I've done, was able to gradually increase my abilities to function more normally. But a lot of PTSD is about triggers. Right. So if something triggers you, you can't control it. You get lost. Yeah, you get lost in the moment. Your entire body, mind is there, and you re-experience the trauma over and over and over again. So to me, and this is a hard thing to talk about, but it put me in a place of being raped again and again.
Yeah.
I couldn't go near the place that I was working at without getting physically ill.
And I don't think people realize or are sensitive to what that means for people, and the effect that it has had on you. I think a lot of people are just like, oh, that's her fault, but they want to say it's someone else's fault when they're not realizing that there has been something that's happened to you in your life that is setting these things up for you, and it's almost like a cyclical problem because
it is a cyclical problem.
You're traumatized, and it just keeps. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. And that's hard. Go ahead.
One of the big issues about abuse and trauma is that I always say the saying, hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
So there are two big reasons why people who have had traumatic events and abuse and things that are similar to that will experience it more often than other people. For one, their brain is conditioned into that response, right, which means that they will most likely be attracted to people that are similar to the ones who traumatized them in the first place. It's not a choice. It is not something that you can just say, oh, why do you keep trying to date bad people or go out on dates with bad people? It's something that you can't control because you are doing it subconsciously.
Yeah.
And you don't realize it. Another thing that makes it very easy for these people to be targeted again is that people who manipulate others can sense these things.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
It's like a hunter hunting its prey. They have a sense where they can tell which targets are more vulnerable.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
So unfortunately, people that have had really bad things happen to them tend to have a lot of really bad things happen because they are forced to repeat this cycle. And personally, I think that the only way to break it is to be open and honest and communicate, because it's not something to be ashamed about.
Yeah.
And no one should ever shame somebody for a painful experience.
No. But that's unfortunately the world that we live in. If someone can't relate to it, touch it, feel it, smell it, taste it, they don't know how to relate to it. There are people, like, I consider myself more of an empath, and I can relate to you because I've gone through some traumatic experiences, and I've had to do the work myself. And that I still get triggered to this day. It's not as bad. It's more of an emotional trigger, an emotional response now than anything like really. It still can be negative, because when you have an emotional response, like you said, you've lost control. And I don't do that much anymore. But yeah, every once in a while, especially if someone's close to me and they know how to push my buttons, it's like boom, woo. So I mean, right? Isn't that what happens?
Definitely. It's something where you have to kind of try to pay close attention to what triggers you.
Yeah.
Which is difficult, because once you're triggered, you're not your full self. You're not really processing things the right way. So you have to try and reevaluate that experience,
Right. Yeah.
unfortunately, and think, what happened right before I felt this way?
Yeah.
Was there anything specific that I tasted, smelled, heard, felt?
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I know that I have certain triggers. There are certain phrases that people say that trigger me. Like when, specifically because I was in my abusive relationship, when I ask my significant other, what are you doing? And they say nothing, I start getting anxiety, because your gut will still sense things sometimes. And I knew he was lying to me about something.
Sure.
And I could feel that badness.
Yeah.
But I kept forcing myself to think, there's good in everyone.
Yeah.
And like, my love will overcome that and he will become a better person. But because of that phrase, even when it is absolutely nothing going on and I have the most loving, supportive fiance in the world, I still feel that anxiety, that pressure on my chest.
You know that though? I'm sure you've told him, right? You guys work together on that?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's really great. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
So there's a good pointer right there. So if you have PTSD and you get triggered and you're with a significant other, make sure you're talking to them and working through it, instead of like,
absolutely
freaking out and having the opposite happen. Like, that's very important to work with someone that has those kind of issues, right? Like for me, like it is. I mean, yeah, because I get, so if I'm with someone, I'm dating someone right now, and it's just like, you can't do it. You can't do a certain thing because I'm going to freak out.
mm-hmm.
Like I'm just like, I'm telling you right out, like I will freak out. So let's not do that.
The thing about PTSD is that when you are experiencing episodes, you are unable to communicate.
Yeah.
So for me, when I have an episode, my entire body seizes up and I can't move and I'm trembling, like shaking really bad.
Oh wow.
And I
Really bad.
can't talk. I can't say anything. It feels like I'm there experiencing it and I am frozen.
Yeah.
But I found that it is helpful to address these issues when you are feeling more normal, because there will be days that you feel a little bit better. There will be times where you feel more like yourself.
Yeah.
And when you have those moments, that's when you have to communicate. That's when you go and you tell your partner, I know I'm okay right now, but if you say this to me, it will have a reaction and I can't control it. One of the best portrayals of PTSD that I've seen is in the show Disjointed.
Disjointed. Okay, I haven't seen it.
It's
is it Netflix or what is it?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's about medical marijuana, and it has.
And so how that helps with the PTSD?
It shows the process of someone who has extreme PTSD and how he felt at first about it, because it is very controversial.
Yeah.
Although it's becoming recreational in a lot of places now, it's still something that is controversial, and people don't understand how helpful it can be medicinally.
Oh yeah, so we have, it's legal here, and I have a friend who, I know a lot of people that use it for anxiety, for Crohn's disease, for all different types of things. So yes, so we've gotten really dark. Let's like start turning it around to very bright and like good vibes. And so was that the last like event that happened to you that created you to make this book? So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the good that's come out of all this, because you are obviously on a trajectory that is taking you somewhere because of all these things, and you're breaking out of all these traumas that have happened to you. So let's talk about that, and let's get to like the good stuff.
One of the ways that I like to explain my recovery process and how I motivate myself is that I've had a lot of moments where my heroes have been kind of crushed for me because I find something out that is disappointing or that just completely changes my view of them.
Sure.
And because of that, I've gotten to the point where I've decided that I'm going to be my own motivation. I'm going to be my own superhero. I'm going to make it happen. I want to be somebody I can look up to, and my standards are way higher than the majority of the populace.
Empowerment.
Yes. So my response to the PTSD was to get help. And I started boxing, women's boxing, and that was very fun. Helped a lot. It made me feel physically safer and stronger.
Yeah.
And I think that it pushed me to be more open and authentic, because it's certain life experiences push you to the point where you say to yourself, what is there to be afraid of? I've experienced fear. I've experienced this trauma.
Yes.
And talking about it for a little bit is something I can live through because I've lived through the experience.
Right.
So I'm stronger now.
Yeah.
And that attitude, it pushed me to be more successful. I tried TMS. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No, I'm not familiar.
It's magnetic stimulation in your brain, and they use it for depression and PTSD and things like that.
Wow.
And it is extremely effective, like life-changing miracles. And it's hard because there's a stigma with mental health, and because you feel very vulnerable having to go through those treatments. But when you're done, you feel like yourself again. Like you feel like who you were meant to be, and you are able to get past that layer of depression or anxiety or fear that has been holding you back.
Yeah.
And it's not something where you're dramatically altering your brain chemistry. It's just stimulating areas of your brain that help to make you happier and that help to make you more effective and present. So
That's good that there's something out there like that to help. I've never even heard of it. And so is there like what's the process with that?
so for me, I went to I got referred to this clinic in my area. I don't know if they have them in other states, but I know that they have multiple locations in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Um, they're Serenity Mental Health Centers, and they focus on particularly ketamine treatments.
Okay, excellent.
And
I saw a post about that on Instagram. Okay. So yeah. I've seen there's and it is out by you. So I saw
yeah,
a post on Instagram and she went out to Arizona for that because she struggles with a lot of this stuff and she was doing that treatment. So I want to
again, life changing, totally worth it. If you don't find a location near you that offers anything similar to TMS, I think that it is worth a trip somewhere else to make that happen. And it's a process. It's not instant. You have to go uh, almost every day each week
Mhm.
during a certain period of time.
That's what
I
I
should remember exactly how long it took, but I don't remember. You have a certain number of sessions depending upon your condition and
right.
uh, your diagnosis, but it is definitely worth it. I I tell everyone that I know about it because it really is life changing. I've seen people who have been so broken inside from their life experiences get to a point where they're able to process it healthily
Yeah.
and move on with their lives and become the person that they want to be.
Yeah.
It's
That's
beautiful. It's a wonderful procedure and it's non-invasive. So you essentially go in and you sit in a room with a technician. There's a big machine and they put a helmet on you and you feel pressure, like it feels like somebody's randomly tapping on your brain.
Oh wow, that's a little weird.
It doesn't hurt per se, it just feels really weird.
Yeah, exactly.
So
That'd be a little weird.
uh, and the machine's loud, so it seems scarier than it really is. The first couple of times it was a little bit rough, but after that you realize that it's just my brain's going to feel a little weird for a few moments and it'll be gone soon, and then you go back and do your daily life activities because it's a short procedure and they have somebody like a nurse in there with you the entire time to make sure you're okay
Sure.
and to adjust the levels. So if it's bothering you, you can say, hey, it's hurting a little bit, or it feels a little weird on this side, and they can adjust things.
Well, that's good. That's amazing. I'm glad that helps. I mean, that's the main thing, right? To find resources that help. So, we're getting a little getting close to time where we got to start wrapping this up. So I don't want it to go too long where we lose the audience. So, do you want
I'm
to?
sorry.
No. I think you've added some very valuable information, and maybe we can do a follow up and just see like what else you got going on, maybe 6 months from now. But do you want to share like after all these hurdles that you've gotten over, how you've gotten to, you wrote the book and you have the fuzzy socks. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, so part of my book is, as I said before, it covers loss and the stages of grief in a way that children can understand and helps facilitate conversations. But I thought that a comfort item might be a helpful way to remind children about the subject matter
Yeah.
subconsciously and also make it feel more comfortable. So I decided to design socks
Let's see.
because my book is Sock Lobsters. So I actually have two sock designs. Well, I have four sock designs on my website right now, but two custom designs that I've created. Um, One of them is just a normal sock, but I think it's super cute. So it
I love
says Sock Lobsters and
very cute. Oh
has
my
the
God.
red heel and toe.
Yes.
Uh, and that is available in kid sizes and adult sizes. And then I have my favorite, fuzzy socks.
Yeah, look at those. Those are awesome. I'm gonna have to get some for my niece and nephew for sure.
They have non-slip bottoms too, because I was concerned about children slipping and falling. And they're really versatile size-wise. I made it specifically so the children's size don't have a designated heel spot, which means that if your kid has smaller feet or bigger feet, it'll just go to different areas on your ankle.
That's cool.
So
Yeah.
so it'll fit a lot of different sizes.
Great design. So like I was in fashion for a little bit. That was very smart that you did that.
Thank you. I am also working on a make your own kit, and I'm working on one that has actual claws, so you can see that's what they actually look like.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. That would be
So
cool. That would be super cool. That would go crazy on Amazon.
yeah, I'm very excited. I've been working on designing those. It's just I'm being very picky about every step of the process.
You have to.
So
Yeah.
that should be coming out soon. Plus, unfortunately, I don't have too many sales yet. So right now, I don't have enough money to pay back all of the money that I already spent to publish everything and get my socks in stock. But once I am able to have the funds to purchase in bulk the other socks, then I will have a lot more options. My plan is this book is going to be a series.
Okay.
So I'm working on the second one right now, and I already have some things laid out for the third one.
Oh, very cool. Good for you.
Yeah, and each book I plan to release at least 2 sock designs. So there will be custom socks with each book.
Smart. Very smart. I love it. Well, with that being said, we need to help boost your sales. So where can someone, anyways, watching, where can someone go and buy a book, buy socks, plug all your links?
Okay, the best place to go is my website, which is socklobsters.com. Easy to remember, it's the same name as the book. You Google sock lobsters, it'll come up, I guarantee it. But it's also, my book is also available on Amazon, and it's available at Target and Barnes and Noble, and I think
Wow.
Walmart. It's available at a lot of locations
Yeah,
if you search for it.
sure.
They might not have it in stock at their store because there hasn't been enough demand for it yet,
Sure.
but you can order them and they will print a fresh copy for you, essentially.
Yay, good for you. That's
Yeah.
amazing. I love it. I will put all the links in the body of the email. Michelle, I'm gonna start exiting the episode. Is there any last words you'd like to leave with the audience?
Be confident in who you want to be.
Yeah.
Because the actions that you take create who you are. And it is really difficult to live life without being yourself because you're an amazing person and your voice deserves to be heard. So speak up and don't be afraid to be unique.
Boom! You are very, very intelligent. You're going to do amazing things. Like I can just see it already. And you've got your story is really intense. Like that's a lot. It's a lot. So God has, I mean, I don't know if you believe in God, but from my perspective, God has a plan for you. And I think he takes his most strongest warriors through the hardest fights to win the battle, right? So God bless you on your journey. I'm sorry, whatever you believe in, bless you on your journey. I'm going to wrap things up. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Kuempel with Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. And I will be back very soon with more dynamic guests.